tuned up and everything. We're about to go to see the Terracotta Warriors that are in, there's some in Philadelphia. So we're going to go there with Sean Bond, me and Chris, Anatra. And we're going to be filming the Terracotta Warriors and different things to trigger us and trigger those watching to their own connections within.
So we are in Philadelphia at the Terracotta, and I just spread my pee on a certain point.
Can you speak of the purpose of the terracotta?
It was done in a particular way to honor the man who decided that the army would be an accurate representation of his power while he was alive. Although it is not the only reason this was done, it was also done as a means of beauty to him, as he saw it as a particular symbol that represented unity within his domain.
Were you with us on the trip to the Terracotta?
We were. Get comfortable, put your seats in the upright, well actually lean them as far back as you want, and put your trace tables up and let us enjoy the flight. We're not on an airplane, but we will be getting higher in consciousness.
How was your experience with the trip?
Wonderful. It was something that brought us great joy to be able to watch, particularly because many of our friends were there. This was an event that attracted lots of eyes, and as a result it was pleasant to be around so many familiar faces watching such a beautiful ceremony.
I just joined my friends Chris and Ryne on a amazing adventure to visit the Terracotta Warriors in Philly, and road trip and interesting experiences, exchanges, conversations, and planning. So when we tuned into it, because we were getting a lot of weird data on it, because we felt that there was a redaction in history and change of ground, that things that didn't feel right, and also finding these kind of warriors isn't gonna be localized in that place. They seem to have been a common theme for a purpose that expanded in many different places in Asia, especially.
It's disinformation.
Let's figure out what the disinformation is. I feel like since the
what we tune into is that there's a purpose in these warriors where something to do with clay and bringing clay to life in a sorcerer kind of magic that is like the ancient equivalent of cloning, but also direct incarnating or summoning a high-powered spirit into that body for a purpose.
when do we get to see the Raptors?
When you see the terracotta, first of all, it's not just, obviously everyone thinks of the warriors, but there are also many horses that were involved in the terracotta army as well.
How big is this underground burial complex? few mysterious pottery fragments would lead to the excavation of one of the largest burial complexes ever created and reveal the character of one of China's most influential rulers. Explore this ruler's...
And the other thing too is, it's like traditional history says it's guarding the tomb of the first emperor of China, blah, blah, blah. Well, the first emperor of China's tomb is located like 22 miles away. So that wouldn't be a very effective way to guard someone's tomb. The height of the warriors, like these guys were like 6 feet plus tall. I don't know many like people like from the nation of China that would fall into that category. It's difficult to find like thousands of 6 feet tall people. So when you start looking at those physical properties, it also makes you say like, I don't think history got this one quite right.
So, go deeper.
Well, we were recognizing the magic of why the purpose for the terracotta and going into other types of terracotta. Because terracotta means pretty much, I forgot the direct translation.
Was it kilned clay or something?
Yeah, kilned clay or kilned earth. Yeah. And it's like a practice, I think it was from another universe as well, where they would actually, infuse the iron in the blood or infuse the blood with the clay.
Well, that's
And
a very
then,
interesting thing. What is it, clay and iron or something? Because there's iron in blood.
Yes. Ooh. Yeah, and like it's not like it's the only type of way to do this. There seems to be different ways, like golem magic, like with Prague, like clay, mud, stone men, metal suits of armor coming to life, all kinds of interesting enchantment things. So we tune into, for some reason, that there's a big redacting history. The mainstream story is that the first emperor of China was buried with this army, though there seems to be like so many missing links in the story because it's a rediscovery of a tomb that they didn't even know about.
So you start to see some holes in that, and also it was both men and horses.
And we interacted with the spiritual entourage when we visited there, and they're very interesting. They're bored, like if you're locked in a museum, the energy harvesting, they're not very happy with everything that's been going on, but they're seeing what they can do to influence the timeline for how they end up, whose care, museum or whatever, and what's like the best possible outcome going through history so that they can survive and actually be done, something be done with them. Like Earth has a strategy with their creation, and a bunch of other beings are trying to incur upon that to bring forth what they want and change the agenda of certain plans in the past.
You can use them as a portal in many different ways in the unseen world, much easier than if you were to want to portal them physically here. And their capability for portaling warriors physically here was lessened by their loss of certain technology to do that. So, is there, I don't know if there's a way to describe how it would look in direct manifestation. Is the portal created in the center of the Terracotta Warrior? Is the warrior, like, when the portal's made, still there?
And it has a spark of who it's created after? Like, do you think it has a spark of that person
who was the model.
There are models that they're made after. It's not like for the purpose of interaction with the being you're modeling it after. It's for the purpose of making a body for a spirit that they want to bring in.
Like creating a hollow person, kind of, or a vessel, so that some beings can go into it.
Yes, it would teleport in 1,500 different personalities that have different DNA lineage links to that one Terracotta Warrior.
Would it
Now, that one
be like
may be a part of a troop of 10, but the 11th person who's in another troop may have different DNA relations. So an army is broken down into its factions that make up squads that go to the next level, and higher members of the leadership have more DNA potential to draw upon more soldiers at any moment in time. Let's just say there are tens of millions of Terracotta soldiers spread throughout the galaxy.
we tuned into like a bunch waiting in like dormancy in like tunnel systems, like tombs and stuff that happen.
There's tens of millions of them that are waiting dormancy in tunnels. Remember, again, it's drawing upon a mass of beings who are existing in some form of space-time that have an agreement to go through this masterful portal to summon to a cult of personality to do exact acts.
It's even more advanced than the first layer I tuned into because of what you can really use it for. Is it like a tube of toothpaste? Is there a certain limit to how many, based on the creation of the Terracotta Warrior, in like its capacity to bring people through? And then once it's done,
technically it's unlimited. Once they started time traveling, it was what as souls were still holding the contracts to be a potential Terracotta soldier that could be called upon. Remember, these are all about time travel wars. So Terracotta soldiers, you need thousands of people practicing this tradition over thousands of generations to make millions of potential candidates that may never be called upon or only be called on a handful of times in a handful of space-times, in which they may be summoned to a reality that they can't actually exist in or is totally foreign to them.
Are they located other than China?
Yes. And in fact, you can find them in hundreds of places of China. They just don't want you to know that they're there.
So there's the Terracotta army, all lined up. Is it a way of storing like super soldier souls ready to deploy it? Well, maybe how much notice would you need to build this, like 20 years or something?
They seem to be loaded, locked, and ready to be brought back to creation if the person doing it has the capability and all the things on the checklist, approval from Earth, timeline. There's a bunch of things, and you need more than just one person and a bunch of energy.
It's instant army manifestation where you can get upon the billions or trillions if you need to. It would create a portal that would connect to DNA lineages that are bound to sending warriors to the call of the Terracotta statues. So a fetus would be born in a womb in each lifetime that would go through its own practicing, that would have its own knowingness, that if the Terracotta Warrior goes active, that they would be in dream space to make manifestations of real life. That's why there was such a huge monk population around too. So one of the ways this clay stashing process got started was off-world beings said, all right, if your clan or tribe is under attack by other off-worlders, you can pray to this statue and our soldiers will appear, or robots or whatever they were doing defending. And then after a while, this technology got more and more until the new gods came in and saw this stuff and said, hey, if you pray to this, you can come defend me when I'm a god who's under attack in the sky, which you see all the time. That's how the technology got hijacked, but originally it was meant to defend the local DNA tribes from other, raiders and DNA pirates that were there to steal your experiment, or your lineage of people you were trying to be born into, or time travel into, or whatever it was that you were doing that somebody else didn't want you to do. This Earth is where you did what you did, what no one else wanted you to do.
Did they all have the same look? Did they all look like Mongolians, or did they look like different races of people?
They look like everything you could possibly think of.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Okay.
Do you know if there's any in Japan?
Terracotta Warriors that are set up in the way that you guys saw? Yes.
Yeah, that would be, like
many
underground.
of them are in the Shinto temples, but they're not 50 or 60 arranged. There's one here, one there, but there are 80,000 Shinto temples throughout proper Japan proper.
When we went there, we got a whole bunch of elementals and terracotta spirits following us back because they were vastly bored. And so they're bioking and they're like, hey, what are you guys doing? So that was fun.
Yes, museums are quite boring places.
Okay.
People stuck in the rigmarole of how science really works, looks at them, and no one wants to engage them in the unseen world the right way. Until suddenly they become irrelevant to society and they're just a bunch of clay statues on tour through museums.
So they haven't been animated, they were made for that purpose. So they're in a fit, they haven't completed that purpose.
What purpose were they made?
I'm narrowing it down. They were made for someone else. Probably having to do with Mongolian armies. Have they done a similar thing before? Yes. So there's been ones that have been animated in terms of actual army, a working army for someone to conquer things. And anything in the tour oh, that's free that you want to look at?
Closes at 5.
Yeah, let's all flip off Ben Franklin. Yeah.
So there are soldiers, underground soldiers everywhere. Now, majority of the Hollow Earth cities that don't live between the spaces. There are soldiers, underground soldiers everywhere. Now, majority of the Hollow Earth cities that don't live between the spaces of atoms, they're still physical manifests. They cut out sections and then teleport in and out. Instead of the ones that live in between the space of atoms, that's what separates really what Hollow Earth really is. Now, the ones that live in physical cities, they have tens of thousands, millions of their versions of Terracotta soldiers that can summon programmed biological life forms that are energetic suspension. So they can suddenly, Star Wars, they can transport in a bunch of people who will offer a version of themselves to stay in some timeline-based suspension that can manifest as warriors in case the city were ever to be attacked.